Today I wanted to talk about a recent controversy about Zohran Mandani's aunt. They're really grasping at straws with Zohran, like trying to find anything to speak negatively about him that aren't his policies, because a lot of his policies are very popular with New Yorkers. And it's about his aunt, who's technically his father's cousin. Right-wing articles are calling this like they caught Zohran in this big, massive lie. This is the original. Just ask yourself what people on the right are offended about in this clip.
Andrew Cuomo laughed and agreed when a radio host said that I would cheer another 9/11. Yesterday, Eric Adams said that we can't let our city become Europe. He compared me to violent extremists. And he lied again and again when he said that our movement seeks to burn churches and destroy communities. The day before that, Curtis Sliwa slandered me from the debate stage when he claimed that I support global jihad. And every day, Super PAC ads imply that I am a terrorist or mock the way I eat. Push polls that ask New Yorkers questions like whether they support invented proposals to make halal food mandatory, or political cartoons that represent my candidacy as an airplane hurtling towards the World Trade Center. But I do not want to use this moment to speak to them any further. I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
I think that moment right there where he says
Of New York City. I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City.
is a very key point in this speech. When you're delivering public addresses, it's very important to know who your audience is, and he's very directly addressing a specific audience in this next clip.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab. I want to speak to the Muslim who works for our city, whether they teach in our schools or walk the beat for the NYPD. New Yorkers who all make daily sacrifices for the city they call home. The dream of every Muslim is simply be treated the same as any other New Yorker. And yet for too long, we have been told to ask for less than that and to be satisfied with whatever little we receive. No more.
And that was the clip that set off some people. They're calling him a liar because his actual aunt, who is alive, doesn't wear a hijab, and they're like, we got him, he's a freaking liar. And what he goes on to say in this next clip, we'll explain it.
I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own making.
And that really addresses it. Just because you call somebody your aunt doesn't mean that they're your legal mother's sister or your brother's or your father's brother. Your father's brother's wife, right? Like, aunt is just a generic term that people use. It doesn't. I know that can be confusing for some people because you only call your aunts, and there's no family, friends, or other relatives that you call an aunt, or you only call your cousins. But for me personally, like, if somebody's like my second cousin or my first cousin once removed, I don't like spell that out every time. I just say cousin, or if they're older, I'll say aunt if it's somebody that fits that description. So I don't think you're catching Zohran in some lie that's gonna ruin his campaign or anything. They're really grasping at anything to try to tamper his popularity. The betting markets now have Zohran at a 90% chance of winning the New York City mayor election. And it's just not looking good for any of the other candidates. So they're just grasping at anything. The Republican infrastructure is very much against a lot of Zohran's policies. I'm going to make a video talking about some of his policies because I love how in-depth it is, and some of his policies on his website have like multiple page documents that I can go through and talk about, but that's for a different video. Today I just wanted to talk about this aunt story that is very confusing to me. Like, no part of this is like particularly offensive or egregious to me, but I can understand how it could sound like, oh, Zohran thinks that the worst thing about 9/11 was that Muslims didn't feel comfortable in public. And obviously, that's not the worst thing about 9/11. The worst thing about 9/11 is the thousands of people that died, right? Everybody knows that, and that doesn't mean just because something bad happens doesn't mean you're not allowed to talk about any of the surrounding bad things that also happen, right? Just because you're Muslim doesn't mean you should feel uncomfortable in public, right? It doesn't matter what people associated with your religion have done, right? You should be free to move about in your day-to-day life and not feel ostracized for something that somebody of your peer group did. That's guilty by association, and it's not how America acts. It's not the way that we should act. It is the way that we do act, right? You see these kind of things all the time with people being racist towards different races, being Islamophobic or being homophobic, right? Being transphobic. You find one trans person that did something bad, and now all of a sudden, transgenderism is destroying the country, like what Trump talks about, right? It's a very bad thing to do. I think it's a very stupid thing to do, and it's something that's very common and something that we need to stop doing. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That'd be so awesome if I could reach that goal. Have a good rest of your day. See ya.